I'm kind of recovering from my dinner, which I roasted this bird. It came out super well. I'm so happy. But I just ate, so it's still kind of digesting. So I'll see how this goes. I got some caffeine here to wake me up. And okay, so today I wanted to talk about FM patch design, and I'm going to use FM8 because I think it's one of the clearest ways to actually do this, to show you. Let's see here. Let me close some browser windows and stuff. Okay, here we go. Okay. So, let me get my notes up on the screen. Okay. So, FM is often kind of seen as pretty daunting to a lot of people, and I think there's a few issues that people run into. I think one is that the way it's often presented seems very complicated and mathy, where it doesn't have to be. Another thing that happens is that I feel like the parameter space, the set of parameters that it gives a user in any FM synth, allows you to make really horrible sounds really easily. Where you can take a lot of analog synths like a Juno or something. You can tweak a bunch of knobs at random positions, and it always sounds pretty rad. That's not the case for these. You have to be more deliberate with this stuff. But there's a few things, a few approaches that aren't too complicated, and that'll get you pretty good results. And I'll kind of show you a few basics and then kind of how I think about some of these things, and then some kind of familiar recipes. And I also have, I don't know if I'll be using this. Someone asked about a sitar sound. I have my Korg DS8 out, which is kind of a nice, that's a really nice synth. And inside that thing is a Yamaha OPM. But we're going to mostly be using FM8, because you can't really see the interface on this thing, so it's not that useful for this tutorial. It'd be cool if I had a camera pointed right down, but I don't. Okay, so first off, the base building block in FM patches, and you probably already know this, is a sine wave. And it sounds very organ-like, and there's a good reason for that. Organs basically are sine wave generators, but they stack up all these different harmonics. But anyway, it's kind of a pure tone. It's a very smooth tone. It's pure enough that when people talk about what frequencies are in a given sound from any source, whether it's a real instrument or speech or whatever, as long as you can perceive a tone, you can break those down into sine and cosine waves. That's how basic of a building block this is, and that's great because a single sine wave has no overtones, and that's where FM comes in, is by modulating this sine wave by shifting the pitch up and down, which I know it's Yamaha, it's not FM, it's PM. That's a different subject. That's for another time. But by shifting the pitch up and down rapidly, you're kind of you're altering the shape of this, and you're adding these overtones, you're adding these harmonics. So let me just turn on this other operator. So I just turned on E by right clicking, and it's not connected yet, so we're going to connect it. Okay, and I'm going to turn it up by dragging the mouse upwards. You can see that as I add more and more volume from E to F, if I I could go FM it more, it gets brighter. Until it gets very kind of harsh sounding. And you can, if you envelope that, let's see here. I actually like going to this menu better. Okay, turn the octave down. I'm gonna make a little. So I mean, it's already a really nice tone in my opinion, just objectively. It's not a very complex tone, but it's a very pleasant tone. It's a kind of typical FM bass. Now let's turn that back down. And what we're going to do, one really important part of FM synthesis is these ratios. And basically, the kind of tone you get when you're dealing with just sine waves, at least, is, how should I put this? You know, whether the tone is saw wave like or square wave like or some weirder clangier thing, or you know, depends on how the pitch of this modulator E relates to this carrier F. So right now they're at the same pitch. Ratio is 1. Ratio is 1 here. But what if I bump this up by an octave, increase it to 2? What happens? It's very square wave like, isn't it? It kind of makes a nice bass too. And we can go higher than that. So what happens if you keep increasing it? So this is kind of piano-like a little bit. I'll show you how to make a better piano later. Be that operator does is less warpy or weird. So you got kind of a little bit of a piano tone. And like with any other synthesizer, you know, keep in mind that so much has to do not just with what waveform you're picking, which is kind of what we're doing here. It's not just your filter. It's like your amplitude envelopes have a huge impact on what you're going to perceive. And you know, stuff like layering and all these things, all these traditional analog synthesizer techniques come into play when you're doing FM as well. Each pair you can kind of think of as one analog synth oscillator that has a filter on it, you know, and that's how Korg actually arranged this DS8. That's how they presented the parameters to the user. Somehow when a lot of people approach FM, it's like that knowledge of basic analog patch design technique goes out the window, but it's all still applicable here, and I'm going to show you that later. But we're going to keep going through these, turn this back up, kind of go through these ratios. So we're just bumping up the multiple of E. So like, basically when it says ratio 4, that's like the base pitch times 4. So if you're like at 100 hertz, 4 would be 400 hertz, right? Basically it gets more and more clangy and bell-like. So that's kind of what those high ratios do. Now, I'm going to come to another kind of familiar, if you use Yamaha, familiar parameter, and that's feedback. And this doesn't have an explicit feedback, but what you do here is you can loop this back. So feedback is basically like the operator is looping back onto itself. It's FMing itself. Hear that? It kind of gets buzzy. It sharpens it up. Let's put more sustain on here. We'll just sustain. Sustain the whole thing. I'm just changing the feedback level. It starts getting really kind of funky, doesn't it? It's a little bit unpredictable, which is kind of cool. What's happening here? It goes into noise. And that is how FM synths produce noise. They produce it through just wild amounts of feedback. And if I crank everything up to the max, it's not white noise, but it's this weird kind of high-passy FM noise characteristic that you hear everywhere. And if you play a lot of video games with FM sound effects, your explosions are just like... So, okay. Turn those back down. That's too extreme. And you can also alter the character of the noises by playing with the ratios and the amount of feedback versus the amount that the E is feeding into F, for instance, or wave shapes or whatever. You can get some really surprising results sometimes. Anyway. Where was I here? Okay, so we talked about feedback. Oh yeah, so it makes this buzzier, more saw-like tone. What if I just here? That's kind of where I want it. Okay, so it sounds like a saw wave. It is all for all intents and purposes a saw wave. Like with the noise, it kind of has a little bit of a high passy characteristic. It's not as beefy as your analog synth, but this is the closest with a old sine wave only Yamaha. This is the closest you're going to get to a saw. If you want a square, we do what we did before. We bump the ratio of E, the multiple of E, up to 2. So now it's an octave above F. So as you can hear, it's not quite a square, but it's close. Very reedy. And one cool thing about FM is so many of the sounds you get out of it tend to be so natural, kind of naturalistic. Is there anyone watching in the chat room? I'm not seeing any messages. Feel free to offer feedback and stuff. Okay, let me check Twitter and make sure that people aren't saying, "I can't connect." You're not actually streaming. I don't see anything. I guess no news is good news. So either no one cares that the stream is down or the stream's actually up. Let me check Discord. It's unusually quiet in here. Usually people pop on and say, "Hey!" And OBS says it's streaming, right? Yeah, it thinks it's streaming. Okay, well, I'm assuming it's streaming. Actually, I can go and I can check. Just taking precautions here. Says live. Yeah. Says live. I like the delay. Okay, so we're good. Let me continue here because yeah, that would suck because I put a lot of prep into, not a lot of prep, but I could actually put no prep into this except a little text file of what I wanted to cover. So you want, let's say, our higher ratios with feedback. Just get kind of a good feel for what it's like. Right, it's basically like the same thing but buzzier. So take off the feedback. Okay. What was I going to cover? Layering. Okay, this is what I was talking about, where people kind of, their FM knowledge kind of goes out the window, or their analog synth techniques go out the window when they start doing FM. And all that stuff is still, all those techniques are still relevant, or many of them are still relevant. So I'm going to create another pair. I'm going to turn on D and C, and we're going to make a very similar sound, and we're just going to detune it. So that's 58, and it doesn't have to be exact, right? Let's go to D, and we're going to change the ratio a little bit. Hear that see those. So there's kind of a chorus sound on it, which is really nice. So we've already used 4 operators. If you were on a OPN, Yamaha's chip that's like in this, like a Genesis, or on one of the other 4 operator ones, you'd be out of operators. So 6 operators on the DX7 it's not a monstrous amount, but the number of combinations is a bit overwhelming when you start interconnecting them in various ways. So to recap, we have a pair here, a pair here. They're both going out the output being summed together, and they produce kind of a chorusing effect off of each other, just like with any other synth. We could make it buzzier too, so you can really hear add some feedback here. Such a nice warm tone. Yeah, that's not. Too high, too high. Turn it up here, I guess. Kind of a very nasal sort of tone. If you turn these down, it gets a little bit less nasal. And so that's that's your basic layering. You can always knock these down like down like an octave. Is that how you do it on here? I don't use FM 8 a whole lot. I usually use more rad trackers, stuff like that. So now you have like an octave relationship between these two pairs. Make it a little bit more detuney. That's way too much. A little bit of a car horn sound, but so you can play with just these like basic FM pairs all day and create cool sounds with just that. They won't be very complicated FM sounds, but they'll be good. But so far we haven't done anything that an analog synth can't do better. And one cool thing about FM, let's turn these off. I'll just disconnect these. Is that it can do crazy stuff like gong sounds and turn the feedback off. Because one question is what happens when you start detuning one operator from another. It gets pretty interesting. So right now we've done pretty even multiples. But what if we dial up something crazy, like move up the octave a little bit. It gets pretty wild, doesn't it? If it's a little bit off, you get just a little bit of that warble as the two operators kind of beat off each other. It's called beating. I didn't make this up. So it kind of gets rougher and then less rough as they kind of go in and out of phase. You got kind of a real gong-like sound if you start. Let's put the envelope back on and see what we've got here. What's a good way of doing this? I need more practice with this program, is what I need. That's why. You get weird, kind of spacey sounds like that. So that's kind of what those kind of detunings do. And I think on the Yamaha, use one, yeah. It uses the offset, so it's not a multiple. It's like this constant, like 10 hertz above or whatever. Oh hey, it's Cliff. Hey, how's it going? So that way you get different interactions and different weird tones at different keys. And I think that kind of works out a little bit better. Hey man, DOS games can't do this. It's the coarse offset set. But we're gonna stop playing with that. We will get to useful formulas for soon. So let's get into some third operator stuff, because this is kind of your typical ad-lib kind of thing. This is gonna go into slap-based territory, which is what everyone wants anyway, right? So we're gonna hook this up. Get this really, you start chaining this together. It's kind of like feedback, but instead of getting buzzier, you get kind of these deeper sounds. It's a very bass-like sound. But what we can do too with these is we can start cranking up the ratio on. Oh, this is so weird ratio. No wonder it sounds so cool. That's what it normally sounds like. Okay. See that kind of slap bass kind of sound? But you put a bell-like ratio on this, a high ratio. And what you want that to be kind of a momentary. Well, that's too low. So that kind of thing, and that's only 3 operators. What on Genesis games, they sound deeper because what they're doing. Let's see. Is they put the pluck on the fourth operator. So we're gonna put another one on. And this is and C here is gonna be our momentary pluck. So we disable C. So you have that nice, really deep bass sound, and then it's deeper than just 2 operators. And now we're gonna add the pluck. And I don't want here. Let's do 8. And again, it has to be momentary. Let's see. You can kind of play with these until it's kind of where you want it. It's a little bit too warbly. I don't like that so much. Really shouldn't have any sustain. Maybe even. Can we get this? I'm not having the kind of luck I want. Kind of cool, but it's not what I want. I remember FM8 feeling a little different from the Yamahas for this kind of stuff. Not sure why. One. Oh, this is a 1 Hz offset. That's gonna make things sound a little weird. Make it. You can give it more of like a. Bubbly kind of sound, I guess. Sounds really bad played high up. One really important feature in FM synth to prevent that is that as you get higher in the scale, you can have it turn down the kind of the volume of these operators so that it gets more and more sine-like and with fewer and fewer overtones. So it sounds a lot more natural. You can also have the envelope go faster on higher notes, which also is a thing that string instruments kind of do. And it also has another effect, other than making it sound more pleasant. It also prevents aliasing because there are fewer overtones. If you know any DSP stuff, if you have enough overtones and a limited sampling rate, you're going to get noise at the top. So by not producing those tones in the first place, you kind of sidestep that. But that's kind of getting kind of deeper into that. But that's the basic slap bass formula. We can turn this off and do it with try it with threes again, because I think it's easier to manage. Also, this is kind of how you make a guitar sound too. I mean, it's not that simple because it's not a great guitar, but you keep playing with that and you'll get there. So we want this to be a momentary pluck, right? Why aren't you curving? Anyway. Some chemical plant zone. Let's see. Okay, we covered gongs. We covered slap basses. Oh. Yeah, so let's go through some kind of more real formulas. I'm just going to do new sound over here. So now we kind of have some theory out of the way, some technique. Let's make it more specific. And we're going to make a trumpet sound that's like everyone's first FM patch, right? Or it should be, I think. So it's gonna be a brassy sound. It's gonna be very, if you're doing this with an analog synthesizer, what you would do is you would take a saw wave, most likely. I know they're more, there's stuff like PWM. We're not gonna get into that, but you would generally take a saw wave, and you'd put a filter on it with a little bit of attack, so it goes wah, when you hit a key, and then that kind of dies down into like a sustain level. So that's kind of the initial, sound when you first start blowing into it. Then you have that sustain, maybe a little bit of vibrato, and then the tiny release. And we're going to kind of do that with these kind of FM pairs that I was showing you in the very beginning. A little bit of feedback. We want a little bit sharper. Okay. Let's now add that attack. Okay. You kind of hear it becoming a trumpet. Kind of a very brassy sound here. You don't want that exaggerated. You don't want to abruptly cut off, usually when you stop blowing. Oh, that's the wrong number. Go to F. A carrier. Too much. It's kind of a subtle change, but... and then what you can do... I don't know if you can copy operators on FM8. But we can just... we can do a detune thing. Actually, what I'm just going to do is put an effect down. So this is kind of like, you pretend I added another pair and detuned it. Let me show you what it sounds like. You add a little bit of chorus on it. Right. So, detuning, effects, it makes this dramatic difference. But yeah, that's your basic trumpet. And let's say, you can say this is kind of your wind instrument model, right, that we have here. So let's say you want a clarinet. Well, clarinet has more square wave kinds of tones. There you go. Here's your clarinet. You just bump up the ratio. Yeah, it's fun stuff, and I love kind of how naturalistic the sounds are. We can do something. Let's see. What some people do on flute kind of sounds is that they have it so that the attack goes in. Remember when I said at the beginning that you crank up feedback enough, it goes into noise? Some people have it so that it ramps up and it gets more and more feedbacky and into noise, and that's your breath noise, and that then dies down to the more modest level. And let's see if we can kind of emulate that here. We get all nasties. I swear it doesn't sound like this on like a real Yamaha. So FMA has some interesting characteristics. I'll just leave it there. We can probably do a breath sound with another operator. That's pretty cool. We'll take the feedback off that. Might be able to get some what's called kind of acoustic roughness, some kind of inharmonic. Because sometimes you kind of overblow a flute, or think of like 60s kind of like jazzy stuff where the flute player comes in and there's kind of this rough flute sound. I think you can kind of get that here. Yeah. Probably a bit much. You see where this is going though, right? Why can't I do the tens column more easily? So there you go. That's kind of like a it's like you kind of blowing really hard into that thing. But I put the feedback up so now you get a little bit of noise. But yeah, that's kind of your like typical flute sound. Okay, so bells we kind of covered. They're a bit more simple. We're gonna set this attack back to instant, and what we're gonna do is we're not gonna have a real sustained level here. Actually, let's get the shape that we want here, because a struck bell just kind of decays. You can't like hold it down like a keyboard, And we're gonna go from this into your classic like DX7 electric piano. Let me make sure we're still streaming here. Uh-oh. Oh yeah, we are. Okay, cool. Still recording. Always good to check. Okay, so where was I? Okay, yeah, we were busy putting no... We're going to bump this ratio up. Why is it still sustaining? Oh, there you go. That's kind of the magic of FM, is now you have like a, you take that chime and you put that envelope on it, and suddenly you have this like really natural sounding bell tone. And with these bell tones, these ratios kind of how sharp is hit. You go here and you get kind of a woodblock sound. Not woodblock. What is it called? Totally the wrong instrument. God, it's on the tip of my tongue. Someone help me out. Anyway. Got your golden axe. Sneaking around. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, we're gonna go. We're gonna go into the DX7 kind of sound. Believe it or not, the electric piano, that kind of classic FM EP, has kind of a bell onset, and then the sustain is more of a saw-ish kind of electric piano sound. So we're gonna go back here, add another pair. So we got 2 pairs. This is gonna do the bell. This is gonna do the sustain part. Oh, I still have some weird. Oh yeah, let's reset these. Back to 1 there. And back to 1 here. Oh wait, no, that should be 0. It's because it's offset. What we should do is mute that pair. You just have to mute the carrier. Make it sharper. Nah. You can just kind of play around until you get the sound you want. What I don't want is I don't want this to decay that much. You can do this. Maybe a little bit sharper. Okay, let's turn this back on. Maybe we need like a faster release here because we actually want this one to sustain, and we don't really want that release anymore. And then the DX7 one's a mellower tone. But the DX7 also, I think, has another pair kind of chorusing on this other one, and we're just going to cheat and add chorus like we did before. Effects. Oh, we can do phaser. Can do overdrive. That sounds awful. But yeah, let's put a little reverb on it. Oh, see the power of FM here. A fully operational FM8. So yeah, that's your beautiful kind of what was that show? Doogie Howser. I have no idea what Doogie Howser did. I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing here? What day is it? I'm turning these effects off. But yeah, and you can keep sprucing up. You can keep going. I mean, you can go back here and you can say, well, I want more of that kind of triple operator, like kind of deeper sound. You can. you can make a decay so it's more like. And then you can be like, well, you know, that's kind of cool. What would happen if I hooked it up to these guys? And I don't know what's going to happen. We're just kind of experiment. That's pretty sweet. So yeah, that kind of stuff. And that was just kind of me screwing around and kind of you know, I have a little bit of an idea of what I want the patch to be. So I said, okay, well, it's a bell and it's a sustained kind of saw kind of sound, a filtered down saw, and so we have these two pairs. And then I kind of go crazy. I'm like, well, what happens if I hook this to this? What happens if I try this? You know, so it doesn't hurt to experiment. You know. Anyway, let's see what else was I going to show. Oh, the piano sound. This is kind of an interesting one because I was kind of baffled. There's a few ways to do it. And so a long time ago, I kind of figured out the 2-operator way of doing it. Let me show you that. It's real. I was kind of doing it earlier. That's not that exciting. The 4-operator one is really interesting though, and the DS8 here has a really good. Let's see if I can find it. Actually, I think it's like the first patch on this whole thing. No, that's synth lead. Vibe, slap bass. Where are we? Oh, piano one. I don't know if you can hear that. I mean, I guess it's not great, but it kind of blew me away. And I kind of tried dissecting that, and what it is, it's kind of two chimey sounds FMing each other. So we're going to go back to here. Turn this guy on. E. It's going to be kind of a chimey ratio, so 4:1 is good. Going to have that kind of. Just doesn't sound, I don't like a piano. Fine. We're going to do the same with these two. Okay. And let's go to 8. Just make it even chimier. And we're not going to put this out of the output. We're going to FM these two pairs together, C and D, going into E and F. Kind of see where this is going? That's not quite very piano-like. What's the missing? Oh, that can't be 8. I did this backwards. This one is 8. I don't know. Let's see. So now you're getting somewhere. Probably turn these down a little bit. But the main thing that's missing here is that there's no decay on it. On this. Oh, I'm like, where'd it go? That's not the greatest piano ever, but it's something. I know it's kind of not the most ringing endorsement. That's kind of the basic formula, though. So, like, you know, It's way too chimey. Yeah. Tell them out of practice on the keyboard. But you kind of play with these until it kind of sounds the way you'd like. That's too much. That's not a bad piano. And so, kind of like with the slap bass, let's break this down. Let's turn these off. So that's already kind of very piano-like, the 1-to-3 ratio I found. And I found that kind of through experimentation. I think the DS8 uses a sharper ratio. I think they use like something like that. Anyway, I like this. And then I kind of add, so let's turn these guys off. Let's just show you how C and D by themselves sound like. So it's a bell-like sound, but you add it all together, C and D are kind of adding that sharpness to E and F. Kind of this complexity. Anyway, that's a piano, kind of. And I guess that's pretty much everything I was going to cover. I don't know if anyone wants to see a certain patch recreated, or could show you the DS8 more. The DS8 is pretty cool. Let's see. So, any feedback or questions or anything like that, let me know. Man, it's quite a tough crowd tonight. I know my streaming is like, it says it's bad, which is not a surprise. Whoa. I think I lost the stream. I think this fucking program locked up. No? Oh, okay. I hear you on that. No, I was just afraid that I killed the stream or something. And I do swear, I've been trying to be good. Let's see. I guess I'm just going to end it there then. What time is it? It's like, yeah, it's 9 o'clock. Yeah, probably a good point to stop. But yeah, if you missed the beginning, it's going to be archived on Twitch. And I go over a lot of kind of basic FM principles. I guess I can keep going. Let's keep going. I want to, to show you how to make good hi-hats. Those are kind of fun. No, I'm tired. I'm gonna wrap it up. Gonna have to save the hi-hats for a different time, and I guess I'll see everyone online. Peace out.